Welcome back to Secret Weapons, and today we're taking a look at the COOPERFX Arcades for a second time. So if you've been around here for a while, you've probably seen my borderline feature-length video on the Arcades back at its release with the original 4 cards. I think that video might be the longest on this channel because there was a lot to dive into on that release and also a lot of ways to get distracted. And the concerning thing there is I was kind of hoping I could maybe truncate this video a little bit as we have 4 new cards out today. But the reason that review got so long was not because that this device is necessarily so intricate and complex that it required an hour-long video to discuss. The issue at hand was that these cards are so engaging. There's 8 sounds on each of them. They're all great. And if you saw that video, you know that the reason that video was so long was because I just kept getting distracted playing guitar as we kind of ran through the different sounds. And there's a very real chance that we're gonna get stuck in that same wormhole today. So fingers crossed. We're gonna kind of like gloss over running through features on this because there's episode 1 out there. There's a lot of resources available on this, and this is more about highlighting these new cards. So what are we looking at today that makes this worth its own entire video? We are looking at the Generation Loss card, which if you know anything about Cooper, you know that his kind of, could you call it a flagship pedal? Definitely the thing that put him on the map was the Generation Loss, an incredible VHS lo-fi modulation pedal that has these amazing textures of wow and flutter and kind of degraded lo-fi textures that I personally am really, really into. He is not only, it's not just that he's put that into one of these cards, it is that he has expanded on it in big and dramatic ways. There are 8 different variants on this, including a beautiful, beautiful lo-fi delay on this card, as well as the kind of droning guitar part that you heard at the very end, that really lo-fi guitar. That is from the GenLoss card, and it's really dope. And I discovered that literally as I was finishing that recording, and I am smitten. It sounds incredible, so we're gonna go back and focus on that in a little bit. Next up, we have a grain card. This is going to be like kind of granular sampling and redistribution of your sound, I guess. That's how I always kind of describe kind of granular style things. This is going to be very similar to the Outward in a lot of ways, but expanded upon and reimagined in a bunch of different ways. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't plugged this card in yet. The Outward is great. I did a video on here and I really enjoyed it. I just haven't had time to plug this card in, but we are going to. So you will be seeing my kind of first reactions when we get to that card later, which is fun, I hope. Third up, the Hall of Fame right here, the Synth card. If you saw my original video, you know that I fell deeply and unashamedly in love with an algorithm called Crusher off the lo-fi card on the original release. That kind of big envelope triggered kind of like sub-octave synth sound. It was like growly and low pass and just, it was so cool. I mean, you heard the intro song on this one. You know what I like. We went back to a very similar sound that is on the synth card, but is different in an important way, being that, I mean, the main difference on the sound I used at the start of this one and the one from the original video was that one was a real-time, it opens and closes with your dynamics. A lot of the sounds on the synth card on this one are built more around the idea of you hit, and when you release, that's when things start to kind of play around on your signal. That particular algorithm will open an envelope when you kind of like strike your chord, but when you release it, that's when it kind of blooms even further. It's a really interesting take on dynamics. It's a really interesting way to approach your playing as a guitar player. The strings on this thing are great, the organ on this thing is great, there's a lot of great sounds on the synth card, and if there's anything off of the original release that I felt merited a massive deep dive, it would be the Crusher mode and the synth mode from that original lo-fi card. So this synth card is worth its weight in gold if it weighed a lot more than this. It's a very light card. That's not a good analogy, I apologize. Last but certainly not least, we have reverse. Once again, similar to that Crusher, if you've been around here for any stretch of time, you know that I have a deep and abiding love for all things reverse, be it delay or especially kind of dry guitar reversing. And there is a lot of both on this card, a lot of pitched reversing, a lot of modulated and lo-fi reversing, but the one thing that I know is every single thing on this card sounds really, really good. It's great. This is kind of the review portion of things before we kind of dive into the demo, so I'm trying not to go too deep into kind of what each one of these cards does, more so just let you know that like you know, we kind of toyed around with some algorithms that weren't necessarily all the way my thing in the original one. There's a lot of good in those original algorithms, and you can tell because that video was so stupid long. But these cards, this is the release for this pedal, in my mind, that really solidifies this. The original ones were great. There was, like I said, the Crusher alone had my heart. The VHS reverb was really, really beautiful in that release. There was a couple of really great moments in that original one. The organ mode is a great example of that as well. But across these 4 cards, I guess these 3 cards, pending my finding love in the granular card, these 4 cards are stunning, wall to wall, great sounds, usable sounds, different enough from algorithm to algorithm, but clearly in the same category where you can definitely see what the through line for each of these cards is. And I'm just really impressed. Tom absolutely killed it on this release. This is a really, really impressive tiny keychain full of all the sound you could ever want. I'm almost tempted to kind of try to source like 3 more of these and try to build an all Arcades pedal board just to see what it would be like have your dry modulator, your delay, and your reverb all across these, because there are incredible sounds in all of these. It's that good. These are versatile sounds. I'm rambling. It's too much talking at this point. You just wanted to know if they sounded good. I've done that part, I hope, effectively, definitely enthusiastically. So we're gonna go to the actual sound samples now. So let's try not to spend an hour on this. After recording that transition, it occurs to me that I don't have access to a top-down camera in this studio. So what we're going to do instead is stick with camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3. And we are going to run through the different sounds, and I'm just gonna kind of tell you where we're at. That's all. It's easy. You'll know what it sounds like. My top-down cameras aren't that good. You can't see what the settings are. So before we dive into the cards, let's run through our dry tone. We are playing the Jennings Voyager with Stagger Swagger pickups into the 29 Pedals EUNA, the Diamond Compressor, the Chase Bliss and Benson Preamp Mark II, the COOPERFX Arcades, the Walrus Audio D1 Delay, the Meris Mercury 7 Reverb, the Strymon Iridium into an Apollo Twin X running a Neve 1073 preamp, and when all is said and done, probably an LA2A as well. So what does that sound like? It sounds like this. Let's start with the ARP mode on the synth. So we're gonna start on the synth card. We're gonna start with ARP. We're gonna start with the clock nice and low and the tone just below noon, because if you saw the last one, you know I really like that grainy clock sound. So our clock is down at 14 kilohertz, no dry, all wets. We're going to set the speed somewhere up at noon, sensitivity kinda high-ish. Let's put that filter at noon to start, and let's take that port all the way down. So this is gonna be a good example of how the synth modes on this are a little more grab your signal and wait until you let off. So for example, let's kill that dry mode. Turn that filter down a little bit farther. Take that speed a little bit faster. Take the speed all the way down and turn that port up. That kind of opens it up, makes it a little bit more resonant. This is great if you've got a lot of reverb on tap. filter back up. Those dive bombs are the port, I think. Let's move on. So this one I really love. This is Attack Decay. It's basically an ADSR for your dry signal. So let's take that reverb back down a little bit, pull down that delay. Take that decay down. So if you take that attack all the way down and the decay all the way down and the depth all the way down, which is basically your release more or less. I guess it should be called your sustain and your release. Once again, this is one of those ones that grab your signal and then kind of lets it go after you're done playing. So if we take that attack way down, we have to like, there we go, with the decay opening a little bit, closing off slower. So this is a good example of cranking up that dual delay and a lot of reverb. Now if you open that depth, which is your sustain and your release, you'll hear it reopen. It kind of sticks around longer. And it'll actually grab your dry signal before you release things. Context, decay is at 3 o'clock, so very high. Your attack, yeah, and then the decay is pretty long too. Let's turn the reverb down. Let's kill the delay and the reverb so you can just hear what that sounds like on its own. Let's do that weird sci-fi pitch up thing on the Mercury 7. Let's go to the Shimmer. Attack Decay might be my favorite mode on this card. ADSRs are so fascinating when you're messing with kind of like modular synth stuff, and being able to apply that directly to your dry signal of your guitar is really cool. Let's actually, we just opened the tone and turned the clock way up for a little more definition on those notes. take that clock way back down. Let's move on. So this is going to be lo-fi. This is a similar kind of thing, but with the wow and flutter from the GenLoss mixed into that kind of synth sound. Let's take the wow and the flutter all the way down. We've still got no dry tone. We've got decay and sensitivity. So we'll keep the sensitivity at noon. We'll turn that decay up. So there's your synth. And start introducing wow and flutter. You start to really hear that noise and that kind of crackle. That movement can actually make for some really, really cool pad sounds. I tend to like the wow more than I like the flutter, so let's take the wow up and keep the flutter low. So this is pad. You've got speed, sensitivity, a low pass filter, and a low frequency oscillator. So your low frequency oscillator right there. Let's open that filter. I don't really know why this one's called a pad. It's very, I don't know why this one's called a pad. It's very tremolo-y. It is cool though. We use this a little bit on the intro as well. We move on. We used a ton of this on the intro. This is the strings. You've got sensitivity and attack. Strings, always keep that attack low. Slow, I guess. Pitch, take it all the way up. Space, if there's a space parameter, it's always at max. I don't care who you are, it's the rule. Because you get this. And by the way, this is with the clock really low, so this is kind of like the chewy lo-fi version, which I tend to really gravitate towards. So dry, big stereo reverb behind it. Okay, we are at the organ mode. Sensitivity, octave down, octave up, and vibrato. This is going to be reminiscent for those of you who saw the last one, so let's just verify that it sounds good again, and we're not going to spend a lot of time dwelling on this one because we lost way too much time last time around. sounds awesome. It sounds like an organ. Who doesn't love that? Mono synth. Let's go to a plate reverb. Let's turn off our delay. Sensitivity. Turn the detune all the way down, the resonance up a little bit. The octave at noon. Get a pick for this one. Turn up that detune a little bit. Take that resonance too high, probably. Oh yeah, let's take that resonance way down. I like low resonance. That's pretty dope. We're gonna move on. Daft. I'm assuming it's named for a certain band that was really good back in the day and then really mediocre a couple of years ago. Sorry. I'm not sorry about that. Pretty cool. It's kind of like the mono, except except it's poly, I guess. There you go. That's the difference. We are on the GenLoss card. Let's start with number 1, wow and flutter. You have wow speed, wow depth, flutter speed, or flutter depth, and flutter character. So this is basically splitting the wow and the flutter from the original GenLoss into 2 parameters each, which I'm a fan of. Keep the depth low, but take the speed up on the wow. See that right there? That really fast vibrato is the one thing that I've always not fallen in love with on the original GenLoss circuit. Being able to take that all the way out, but keep that flutter depth in there is actually... That is phenomenal sounding. Let's move on. Fidelity, low pass filter, high pass filter, gen, and noise. So you get your low pass. Open that up. Take the high pass all the way open. Take the gen all the way up, the noise all the way down. So here's your functionally dry sound. Take that gen down, add noise. Low pass it. And high pass a little bit of that really low stuff to give it that antique sound. That right there is my favorite part about the GenLoss. Number 3 is Combo A. So it is a combination of the wow, the flutter, the low pass, and the high pass. So let's take that wow down, that flutter down. Keep our filters open. Keep that flutter low, take the wow up. Next, combo B, speed, span, age, and distortion. Ooh, span does some very weird stuff. Take that age up. Don't want to age it out. Some of that distortion back in. Like I said earlier, these are all very kind of, you can see the through line on every card, and it's not just that these are all takes on the GenLoss, it's they're highlighting different corners of that pedal and allowing you to mess with those little moments in very new and unique ways, which I find very cool. Vhs Delay, now we're talking. Let's bring our dry tone back in, take that wet down a little bit. Go to a plate delay, turn off the Walrus Audio. Open up that low pass filter. A little bit more delay. That's nice. And vintage. This is the mode that I really got distracted and kind of dragged out the end of the song at the start of this, because when I found this, I think I found love. So let's take that dry mode out because nobody wants dry mode right now. Take that wet up, keep that clock low. Speed, depth, shape, and dynamics. Turn that speed down. I mean, if that doesn't... It's a strong contender for my favorite sound of maybe of any of the cards that he's done so far. You'll be hearing that one in the future. CD skip. Take that size back up. And last but not least, we have radio. So you've got static, low pass filter, high pass filter, and what I'm assuming is interrupt. That's interrupt. Or intrude, maybe. Static. That's a freaking cool one too. It's wall to wall over here. Moving on to the next card. Let's reverse some stuff. No delay. Turn that freeze down. This one's got a shuffle, which I find to be really cool because it there we go, we're back at Unity. It'll play back correctly. As you turn shuffle up, it kind of rearranges it. Which can be super cool if you freeze it in place. Octave, it's what you think it is. Noon is super low. Turn that freeze off again. So backwards an octave up. And forward an octave up. And from octave, we go to fifths. Now we're getting into kind of a count to 5 kind of thing. That's a good starting place for a loop right there. So dual is an octave down and an octave up. I guess it's just whatever two pitches you want, but I tend to go one of each because there's a balance knob between the two. Envelope holds are always cool. You know how it works. Now you have modulation on your reverse. And lo-fi, which is basically going to be kind of that wow flutter from the GenLoss. It's kind of cartoony. Arpeggiated reverse. So cool. And that is the reverse card. We're making better time now. Last but not least, our first foray into the grain card. We're gonna see what's going on over here. First off, we have buffer. Check that random all the way down. So we're on a time ST now. Ooh, I like that. It's very jittery. So that's got a random control that will really throw some stuff around. I quite like it with no random. We're losing track again. That's really cool though. I really like that sound. An envelope buffer. Let's turn that sensitivity if that's what we need. Sometimes I feel like I don't get granular, but as you can tell, there's some stuff in there that I'm sure works for, like, you know, drone musicians and stuff like that. But like the last one, amazing and super formy. This one, definitely for somebody with a better knowledge of sampling than me. Envelope TS, so time stretch. Time ST. I'm stupid, I got it, I got it. I do really like the time stretch ones. That's awesome. Okay, bounce. Okay, that'll do. I've melted it. Pitch. Size. Freeze. And just the ability to kind of set where you want the granulars to pitch to. It's straightforward. And granular with lo-fi. I do love, once again, the commonalities and the through lines between them. The fact that you can get some GenLoss in the granular card is super cool. Random size. I never know what's happening with these. I just know that they sound really good. Turning all the randoms up. And that's all the cards. I think we made better time this time than we did last time by a wide margin. Tom, Cooper, Tom's dog, you guys nailed it on this. These cards are phenomenally good. They're so fun, they're so accessible. They do so many cool things. I'm so impressed with the second round. It's very rare the sequel is better than the first one, so well done. And thank you for letting me be a part of this. And everybody, go check out the cards. If you made it to this point in the video, I guess comment down below what your favorite card is. Which ones are you gonna pick up? I guess that's a better question. I'm obsessed with the synth card, and I am obsessed with that lo-fi vintage mode, so man, those are good. We're rambling. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions, comments below. I'll try to check them out. Thanks. Have a good one. Oh, until next time.